Have you ever wondered what drives seemingly ordinary people to commit such violent crimes? Today, I'll be reading a passage from The Secret History by Donna Tartt, a novel that explores the lives of several college students involved in a murder of their friend. This is a passage from chapter 6 where the characters discuss how to handle Bunny's death without drawing any suspicions. This book serves a powerful reminder that the line between good and evil is often thinner than we think. By exploring the motivations and internal conflicts of the characters, the novel highlights how intellectual arrogance, peer pressure, and the desire of belonging can lead people to commit such heinous acts. The reason why I chose this book is because I want to learn about criminology in the future. And because this book explores the psychological and criminological complexities of human behaviors, I was able to see how people's decisions are directly linked to their values and their relationships. Saying that, moving on to the passage. By noon, it was apparent that the weather forecast was in error. The temperature had dropped 10 degrees, and more snow fell in the afternoon. The five of us were to go out to dinner that night, and when the twins and I showed up at Henry's apartment, we found him looking especially glum. "Guess who just phoned me," he said. "Who?" "Marianne." Charles sat down. "What did she want?" She wanted to know if I'd seen Bunny." "What did you say?" "Well, of course I said I hadn't," Henry said irritably. "They were supposed to meet on Sunday night, and she hasn't seen him since Saturday." "Is she worried?" "Not particularly." "Then what's the problem?" Nothing," he sighed. "I just hope the weather breaks tomorrow." But it didn't. Wednesday dawned bright and cold, and 2 more inches of snow had accumulated in the night. "Of course," said Julian. "I don't mind if Edmund misses a class now and then, but 3 in a row? And you know what a hard time he has catching up." "We can't go on like this much longer," said Henry at the twins' apartment that night, as we were smoking cigarettes over uneaten plates of bacon and eggs. "What can we do?" "I don't know, except he's been missing now for 72 hours, and it will start to look funny if we don't act worried pretty soon." "No one else is worried," said Charles. "No one else sees as much as him as we do." "I wonder if Marianne's home," he said, glancing at the clock. "Why?" "Because maybe I should give her a call." "For God's sake," said Francis, "don't drag her into it." "I have no intention of dragging her into anything. I just want to make it plain to her that none of us has seen Bunny for 3 days." "And what do you want her to do about it?" "I hope she'll call the police." "Have you lost your mind?" "Well, if she doesn't, we're going to have to," said Henry impatiently. "The longer he's gone, the worse it would look. I don't want a big ruckus people asking questions." "Then why call the police?" "Because if we go to them soon enough, I doubt there'll be any ruckus at all. Perhaps they'll send 1 or 2 people out here to poke around, thinking it's probably a false alarm." Um, if no one's found him yet," I said, "I don't see what makes you think that a couple of traffic cops from Hampton will do anything better." "No one's found him yet? Because no one's looking. He's not a half miles away." It took whoever answered a long time to bring Marianne to the telephone. Henry stood patiently, gazing down at the floor. Gradually, his eyes began to wander, and after about 5 minutes, he made an exacerbated noise and looked up. "My goodness," he said. "What's taking them so long? Let me have a cigarette, would you, Francis?" He had it in his mouth, and Francis was lighting it for him when Marianne came on the line. "Oh, hello, Marianne," he said, exhaling a cloud of smoke and turning his back to us. I'm glad I caught you. Is Bunny there?" A slight pause. "Well," said Henry, reaching for the ashtray. Um, Do you know where he is then? Well, frankly, he said at last, I was gonna ask you the same thing. He hasn't been in class for 2 or 3 days. Another long silence. Henry listened, his face pleasantly blank. Then, all of a sudden, his eyes widened. What? He said a little too sharply. All of us were jarred awake. Henry wasn't looking at any of us, but at the wall above our heads, his blue eyes round and glassy. I see, I said finally. More talk on the other end. Well, if he happens to stop by, I'd appreciate it if you would ask him to call me. Let me give you my number. When he hung up, he had a strange look on his face. We all stared at him.